that, IJ? My name is Antix. Yeah. A-N-E-T-I-X. That's me. May not have heard of me. But if you got a smartphone, just put it in Google. Just do that. You'll find me. 10 golden lessons will show me your best sense. Swap my testies, now I'm ready to go.
Fluffer.
All right, we go. What up, everybody? My name is Antix,
Greetings.
a.k.a. Landon, and I am here with my homie to promote the February 17th show. I'm going to have to get that date right if I'm going to do this.
Yes.
But without any further ado, I could go into all my BS, but I'm here with a close homeboy of mine that I'm super excited to talk to all of y'all about and learn more about him and his history. The motherfucking GOAT, Grades of Absolute Truth. What up, doggy?
What it is, though. What it is.
How you been, brother?
You know, living this dream.
Got a
doing
lot
things
going
the
on?
best. Oh, yeah, always. But, doing things the best that I possibly can.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
always.
Yes,
Well, so
indeed.
you are one of the most prolific musicians and artists in DFW, but I want to start with something that I've wanted to know for a very long time, and I don't think, even though all the conversations we've had, I don't think I've ever got to ask you this. What got you into music initially? Was it a passion from ever since you were a child? Is this something that you've just had a bug for ever since you can remember, or was there a starting point?
First of all, my memory sucks. However, I know my mom has told me, from early on, I recognize melodies and stuff as a little bitty kid. Acoustic guitar was, I'd say, my first love. So I know it started early, but that was the first kind of entrance into music was just falling in love with the acoustic guitar. I say that was like 12, 13, something like that. There was a cat that lived down the street from me. Matter of fact, that's who originally gave me the name Goat. I've been Goat since I was 8 years old, dog.
And I'm guessing it didn't always stand for Grades of Absolute
No,
Truth. But
no. It came from...
That's wild. You've had that nickname since you were 8 years old?
When it first started out, it was just a nickname he called me. You know what I'm saying? Or originally, we called each other gnarly old goat dude. That was a phrase that we thought was hilarious when we were kids from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But it ended up sticking to me. And then, when I started doing solo music, I kind of made it more significant and whatnot with the acronym. But I'd say acoustic guitar was the first love, and it sprouted kind of from him. He was a few years older than me. I thought he was super cool, and he picked up guitar, and I just fell in love with it. So that was the musical side of things, and pretty soon after that, I kind of fell in love with just writing as a personal therapy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for a long time, I did not let anybody read anything that I wrote. It was just for me only, and just a release, get things off my chest. I was kind of like we've talked about this before. I mean, we're inherently dark creatures. is how I would put it.
And there's an unfortunateness to that and a blessing in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But even as a young kid, I had really dark thoughts and really big, complicated things happening in my head. Thinking back on it now, I wonder. I don't know where it came from. Yeah. I have an amazing, I've always had an amazing, family life, and nothing too crazy traumatic has happened to me aside from things that aside from things that I did to myself. So who can you blame for that? It's like self-trauma.
I'll just stand there with my hand up.
No doubt.
Y'all were all great. It was really just me who was the fuck up.
Yeah. That's no joke. But man, that's kind of the root of it all. Yeah.
So, but to go from just playing the acoustic guitar, I mean, what that evolved into, I mean, becoming a music teacher and just being such a prolific artist and author. You have a book and everything like that. So if it goes from acoustic guitar, like, who were some of your first hip hop like influences? And obviously you had musical influences.
Yeah,
what
huge,
got you into this?
huge. So I had a lot of huge musical influences, specifically guitarists that I really looked up to. Stevie Ray, especially him being from Dallas, and Slash was a huge hero of mine from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, if you play guitar, that's kind of how it has to go.
Absolutely. Right? So that was a lot of my my kind of guitar influences and musical influences, but lyrically and hip hop wise, I didn't really grow up with a lot of hip hop around. I think the first hip hop project that I got was Gravediggers, 6 Feet Deep, and it was a.
That's the first one you got?
I think that was the first one. That was the first. It was that, and Ice-T put out a project called OG. And I think those were the first two albums that I owned.
Jumped in.
It was a good transition from the music that I was really into at the time. You know what I'm saying? Because it was, I was kind of in a heavy, heavy and dark, and I was especially the imagery of. Shout out to Already. I did have a shirt up there. It's somewhere else now, but
this place is kind of abandoned now.
It's a little bit, but yeah, dude, I got.
We'd usually be sitting on a comfy couch, but that's also gone.
You know, this is high class
evolution
kitchen furniture. You know what I'm saying? And
if y'all can't tell, we are in some old man chairs. Goat hit me up whenever we just to bounce off for a second. We were talking about doing this, and he was like, "Hey, you got any chairs you could bring?" Like that's kind of the last.
I was like, I got a stool,
that's the last thing.
But I sure don't want to sit on that stool for an hour and a half. You know what I mean? No. And you don't want to sit on this concrete floor.
I was like, I've got some lawn chairs I could bring. We're meeting at your loft, right? We're not meeting in a park randomly somewhere around here.
But as soon as you said that, I was like, I got something.
And these are comfortable than a bitch.
Dog, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So Gravediggers, Ice-T.
Yeah, Ice-T. So that was kind of like my entrance into hip hop. And there's certain people throughout my journey that kind of contributed to exposing me to new stuff and things that I wouldn't have, just naturally been exposed to as far as music goes. But I mean, I think that's everybody. Like, regardless if you're an MC, a musician, whatever, or just a casual fan and a listener of music. People get so excited about sharing stuff when they discover something dope they think you'd like. Yeah, you know what 100%. I'm saying? So it's that's always
sometimes
a beautiful
not
thing.
Always to the benefit, but yeah.
Yeah. I can remember this was not in the forefront of my mind when you asked that question, but there was. So I went to a community college right out of high school. I went to Cedar Valley, and that was, I was pretty deep into just digging into hip hop. I was because I had an attraction to poetry, and it was just a easy transition from that into hip hop. You know what I mean? And so I was really trying to find new, intelligent, inspiring, lyrical hip hop. And there was a cat that worked in the library, and older black dude, dreads. I can see his face in my head, but I can't remember his name. But he would kind of pick up on, I guess, I don't know, my clothing. I don't know what it was, but he'd pick up on things and like ask me questions about this, that, and the other as far as hip hop goes. And I think he's the first one that kind of turned me on to Quali and Mos Def and some stuff that I got really into back then. And
if you want to talk about challenging a pen, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was also a cat that kind of challenged me on a frequent basis, like came across as almost pushy with certain kind of subject matter and whatnot. Anyways, it was random experiences on campus, and that jumps out in my mind. But again, there's been so many people that have been like, yo, check this out. My homie Ricky 360, he exposed me to tons of
talk about 360.
Yeah, I mean tons of stuff that I listen to this day, and he's still dog.
I was gonna say
he still sends me and Rabbit stuff all the time, and I'm like, this dude is so dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just cool. Things have changed so much from us growing up, because you can jump on any platform right now and immediately be exposed to 20 different people you've never heard of before within 5 minutes. And so
you can find artists that you'll fall in love with just by scrolling on TikTok or Instagram for a few minutes.
Such a weird era that we're in, you know?
Absolutely. So when you didn't grow up with hip hop, that came later on down the line. Would you say high school or somewhere around there? Were you doing any of the freestyling stuff with your friends?
No.
Nobody with that?
No.
So you're kind of outlier on that end.
Dude, I was picture me as the kid that you would be concerned about when you ran across. Like
very much ditto.
Long hair, ripped up jeans. Matter of fact, me and Rabbit put out this most recent project too. There's a verse on there. It's like, long hair, ripped jeans, and a chain wallet. Aid Ox blood Doc Martens. Faded grave diggers tee, holes at the bottom. Black trench coat, knuckles in the hidden pocket. So it's like that's the imagery of me in high school, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I really wasn't into a lot of that. And I grew up in bands. Not band at school, but
just garage.
Garage meant rock, blues, metal bands all the way through high school and into college a little bit. And once that kind of period of my life started dying down, I started to embrace hip hop a little bit more because I could do everything by myself. You know what I mean? And I didn't have to deal with I was kind of burned out. Working with other people and realizing that I had a hunger and a drive that not other people had.
Yeah.
And so it kind of veered me into my own path of I'm going to start studying engineering, like audio engineering, and how do I record? What equipment do I use? So, I mean, when I was growing up at my parents' crib, my room there was like a very small path that you could walk through my room because it was just filled up with guitars, basses,
awesome.
Electronic drum kit, all of my, microphones everywhere. It was stupid. And
so with your path with the music and everything like that, 'cause you first start finding it out during college, and so you ended up going to UNT, right?
I did, yeah. So
is that what made you like get into becoming a music teacher, like that? Just that drive and that passion. I love how you talked about like the solo-ness of it, the ability to control it on your own, and
totally.
and hip hop can become so many different. You can use an electric guitar in hip hop. You can use an acoustic guitar in hip hop. You can use any kind of drums or instruments you want,
and sample any genre of music and make it hip hop. It's like everything.
If you're in a rock band, you kind of gotta stay in certain lanes, unless you just end up becoming popular and you can just like ditch out wherever you want to.
Absolutely.
So is that one of the things that really grabbed you? Is like, I can do whatever I want to do this time. It is that independent nature of it.
I've always just been a mutt in my brain as far as genres go. And when I started diving into trying to do everything myself, like the first project that I put out under GOAT, and please do not look for this, it's nowhere to be found.
Google.
No, this is way before Google, and nowhere. So
somebody find something.
No,
Internet, do your job.
I ain't even gonna tell y'all the name, the title of the album. I ain't even gonna say it.
He's always gone by GOAT.
But I mean, there is a hip hop song on there, a metal song. There's a rap rock song. There's a drum and bass song. I mean, it was like 12 or 13 songs of every possible genre that you could think of was just on there. Why? Not because I was trying to be weird. I just loved everything, and that's kind of how things came out.
That's fucking awesome though.
It's
that
weird.
Is really, really cool.
And it never lended itself to me fitting, there's certain things that where it's beneficial for you to fit in.
Yeah.
And then there's certain things that really just cast you away.
Yeah.
So I was always the rock cat at the hip hop shows, and then the hip hop cat at the rock show. Like I didn't fit on bills, when I
feel like Texas was late to get on, because I mean, nu metal was birthed from Anthrax, Public Enemy, teaming up and stuff like that. You can ask, anybody, Rage Against the Machine, Linkin Park, all those groups, and all the other, kind of nu metal bands. They heard that and they're like, oh, I can do something along those lines.
Yeah.
But once you start combining everything, I can imagine that makes you an outlier. Mm-hmm. So with UNT, did you know you wanted to be a music teacher kind of right away?
No. So I started choir in 7th grade, and then I was in choir every year all the way through junior high school, and then into college. So singing was definitely something I was interested in early on. So I graduated high school. I went straight to a community college, got my basics and my 2-year degree, my associate's degree. Then I took a semester off, and I went to Ohio, and I went to this place called the Recording Workshop, and it was a 6-week, really intense 6-week program, music production, audio engineering, and you get certified. So I did that, and as soon as I got back from Ohio, I moved to Denton, and then finished up my bachelor's. So when I went to UNT to enroll to finish up my bachelor's degree, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. Like I knew obviously I wanted a degree in music, but when I got there, it was pretty much performance or education. That's pretty much the paths that you could take, and then they had classical and jazz. That's pretty much your options. And it was, man, that was a very intense part of my life. I don't know the rankings these days, but when I enrolled, I think it was 3rd in the nation for music, and it was hardcore, dog.
Yeah,
and
sounds like it.
It
also sounds like a lot of not only peers that you can meditate with, but a lot of competition.
Lots of competition, and talk about black sheep. I was that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think the whole time that I was there, I came away with a single friend.
Oh shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like it just wasn't my people.
Yeah.
I did not relate to anybody in the classical voice program aside from there was 2 girls that I got real close with, and I still chat with them occasionally. But anyways, man, it was something that I made that decision on the spot when we were enrolling. I was like, I don't want to be involved in opera in a performance aspect. I did have to concentrate on classical voice, so that was my concentration when I was there. But education sounded like a solid gig as far as where I wanted to go, which was I wanted to put out my own music and I wanted to tour. So sounds like a good plan. I'd, work on an album throughout the school year, go to work, summer hits, I'm gone. That was kind of like that was
seems
the
to be
vision.
Still the template too.
Yeah, that was the vision in my head, and it took a while to get to that point, but once I got there, it's been a in the beginning everything was separated. My music was here, what I did, college here, what I did in education over here, but over time it just everything started melding together, especially with how truthful and open that I try to be in my music. So all of my all of my life experiences just naturally, you know what I'm saying? They're there. They're in, you know, my education experiences with families and students, that starts appearing in my writing and, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So it's been a long road, dog.
Well, and so beginning of the road with the acoustic guitar, but when did the first album, like, you go, okay, this is something that I love. This is something that I want to experience. Now it's time to. You had the one with a bunch of different tracks. When were you like, okay, let's get into this hip hop shit and let's start making an album?
I would say 2004 is probably when everything started becoming a little more clear to me. And when I was at UNT, again, I didn't have any people up there. So I was in an apartment by myself, and I had a studio set up, and that's what I did, man. Like, I wrote music, and I went to school. There was a group that I was in for several years with two homies of mine. We called ourselves Triple Optical. And it was me, Word SL, and a cat named Lockjaw. And so Word SL has this kind of dark humor. I want to say like horrorcore, but just like shocky kind of stuff.
So edgelord before there was the edgelord. That seems like the whole 2004, 2000.
Yeah, it was like me, him, and Locke was on some just gangster shit. And so the idea was triple optical, 3 eyes, 3 perspectives. So, you know, each song was kind of like, you need to check that. I don't even.
And we back. Sorry. Things are falling apart around here when you have so much vibe going on and so much room shaking from all this knowledge.
It happens.
So triple optical.
Triple optical. So we were together for several years. We put out a few projects, and it ended up not ending, you know, the greatest. Anyways, I'm gonna skip that.
We don't want to get on to the negative.
We did quite a few shows.
Well, and Denton had to be, because I ended up going. Didn't go to UNT, but I went up there and lived with my sister. Mm-hmm. The scene over there, music vibes, since everybody's music students and stuff like that. There's venues.
It was thriving at that time.
Yeah, at that point, I went up there 2005. So it was right around the same time.
Yeah, same time. Yeah, it was a good vibe up there. And I met, tying it back to the show, that's where I met Munster, actually.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because
so when you met him in kind of the hip hop scene,
at UNT.
At UNT.
Yeah, he and I were in. Yeah, absolutely. Him and I were in men's chorus together at UNT.
All right.
Yeah, and I also knew Juicy the Emissary. So I've really followed and seen Munster do a lot of hella dope stuff, man.
He's such a good artist, man.
Yeah, and I gotta extend a great deal of love to him. He's done some amazing things on his own, and also like he's followed through with a really amazing vision that I had several years ago. And you know, people like to talk and act like they're down to do things. And I had a big vision for my students several years ago where I wanted to expose them to basically the elements of hip hop. And like Munster came through and blessed my 5th graders, and it was super dope. Like it was awesome.
Sick. So cool.
So, you know, occasionally there's an intersection of here and there, and it works out. That was one of those things. So I'm excited to be on the bill with you and him. And dog, it's gonna be a dope show, man.
I can't imagine anybody better to be spending that time with.
No doubt.
And so Triple Optical. When did you go? Because you got away from the band stuff because you stopped wanting to deal with so many people, and you are saying perfectionist is almost got it has a negative connotation to it.
But is it the truth though?
But it benefits. It very much benefits to have somebody at the reins that wants to say, like, this is the direction that I need to go. Sure, you can get bogged down whenever you're wanting to tweak, and that happens to anybody. But as an artist who cares about their craft, I mean, I think that's so important. And because you're that way, you've been able to maintain. I remember one of the first times, just take a side route real quick. I was over here, and you were showing me when you were creating the USB drives with all your different stuff. And you had saved every single article. I think this is whenever me and you first started hanging out. It didn't scare me away, thankfully. It was like, holy shit, you have everything. And it made me feel so terribly about everything that I had done, because I had nothing. I had lost. The only things that I had was like stuff that I could hunt down on the internet.
Yeah.
But that perfectionist side of you does that for you. Now, you got away from the band stuff because you didn't want to deal with so many people. Was that the same thing with Triple Optical? You were like, okay, now I want to. You still worked with individuals, but you really took on a solo persona. And when did you say, okay, GOAT is going to stand for Grades of Absolute Truth, and let's kick this off?
I think the acronym came around like 99, 2000. I honestly did not think it came that early. And I have a catalog of writings, throughout my whole life. And I keep them in a gun safe, in that gun safe over there, because they're special to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
that's memorabilia that you can't replace.
Dude, yes. And there's like, I think I'm on notebook 24 or something, and I have all of them in chronological, or just, you know what I'm saying? Just
that's awesome.
That's
so
kind of like
cool.
my journals. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
So I see those as written journals, and then my audio projects as, audio journals is essentially what they are.
So
and,
so after that, after Triple Optical, what was your first, not necessarily even solo album, because you did stuff with 360.
Yeah.
Tell me about those first few projects that y'all did.
I put out a project called Genre, and it was, it was all sampled, and the idea was genre ? So like basically, who cares about a genre? And I sampled, again, going back to what we said earlier, like I sampled all different genres and made a little hip hop EP, little promo kind of thing. That was in 2005, I think I put that out. And what really got 360 and I working together was I was finishing up a project called Absolute Truth. It's an album that I never released on streaming. This was before streaming anyways. It was just on CD. And I had 2 or 3 joints on there that I really wanted scratching on. And 360 and I kind of grew up in the rave scene, together. Like that's kind of how we met and how we first started kicking it in our friend group. And he was really into electronic music and DJing in that sense. And so I reached out, and he was down and threw down some scratches on a couple of the joints. Then we started performing like a lot, a whole lot. First show we did was Art 6 Coffee House in Denton. And I think it was at the very end of 2004. And from that point on, like, I did not ever stop doing shows.
Oh, wow.
I mean, and when we first started, dog, it was dumb. I mean, it would not be something that I would recommend to anybody. We just were hungry and ready to go.
Yeah.
So
where you need me, anytime I'm there.
Any opportunity that even remotely came across me, I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything. I'm there.
I got
I'm gonna be there.
I play for empty venues,
Dude,
alcoholics, and bartenders.
All
I don't care
the
who's
above.
there. I'm ready to rock.
Yes. Didn't care nothing about it. And that went on for years and years and years and years and years. So Absolute Truth, I dropped that in 2006. And then and this is pretty near where Rabbit kind of came into the picture. So the next thing that 360 and I did together was a mixtape. It was called Dallas Got Next. And we finished it, and to this day, still so dope. And an actual legitimate mixtape where every track transitions into the net all the way through. I think it's 17 tracks. And just beautifully executed and hella dope. And we planned a release party at Curtain Club, and Rabbit's group, Naked Mom on the Lawn, got booked to open up. So that was 07.
How have I never heard?
Yeah, dog.
How have I never heard of that one?
And
Naked Mom
on the Lawn, bro.
I shouldn't be shocked. I shouldn't be.
No, you shouldn't. That fits perfect. But yeah, man, his group got booked to open up at that show, and that's the first night that I met Jackrabbit.
What year was this?
This was 07.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then from there, we pretty much immediately started working on music together. And
which we'll definitely jump into that
oh
later.
Yeah. I mean, that's me and Rabbit's story. That's a whole nother long
that's an interview I got to do with both of y'all.
Yeah, dude.
Although I'm sure that'll get derailed 15 times before we get to the actual
point.
Oh,
yeah. That'll be a 4-hour interview easily. and a whole bottle of whiskey, too.
Yeah, and a whole bottle of whiskey. So 2007, you do the Curtain Club, which you've still did Curtain
closed, but we were down with them all the way to the end.
And you did multiple releases there.
Oh yeah, and all of them just beautiful and amazing memories. So after that, me, 360, Jackrabbit, and L, which is Jackrabbit's wife now, we started working on the first volume of a series that 360 and I wanted to do called the 4-track sessions. And so it was where we would hook up with 1 or 2 artists and write 4 songs, put them out as a project. That's it.
Hell yeah.
It was that simple and basic of a project. And so we worked on that 4-song project, put that out, volume 1. And man, after that, 360 started working with Rabbit on a mixtape. Him and I were working on a project called Mileage, and Elle was working on a solo album of her own. And so we all collectively, this was such a beautiful night too. We all collectively finished our projects around the same time, and we did a triple release party at Curtain Club.
That's dope.
Me, Mileage, Jackrabbit, Something Simple, the mixtape, and then Elle. I think her project was like Be Calm, maybe Be Calm and Carry On, I think. But dude,
what a dope group!
It was insane
to have
so
a
insane.
Release all the same night.
That's
sick.
I think we hit over 350 people that night. So like,
well, when you have 3 artists like that, I mean,
we killed it. It was packed and insane in there, and it was, man, such a good memory, dude.
So what year after that did you, Jackrabbit and Kilo all hit the road? Was that with Por Vida?
It was, yeah. Por Vida, that was 2010, the summer of 2010. That was, me, Rabbit, Kilo Artifact, and MC Astro. And then DJ Trek was with us, and DJ Croy, Colin. And, the 6 of us went on like a West Coast tour. It was about a month long. And some high points and some low points, you know?
Tell me a little bit I haven't got to hear too much about that. Tell me just a little bit about how it came about and you know, the venues that you played at and just kind of what'd you take away from it?
That's actually a perfect transition because we released Mileage in 2009, and I think that's right. Yeah, 2009, or maybe it was 2010. think it's 2009 though. So I was still promoting that. And that's the majority of music that I was performing on that tour. But again, my vision personally was that's what I wanted to do with my summers while I was off.
Yeah.
Was be on the road and tour. Excuse me. So Jack Rabbit and I think were living together at the time, which was stupid debauchery.
I can't imagine. You seem like two very upstanding citizens.
And
no neighbor complaints or anything along those lines.
No, it was just one of those situations where we were both freshly bachelors, and he needed a place to stay, and my person had left where I was staying, and he came in, and it was we had some crazy fun times.
I can't imagine two MCs like in the same house.
There was on any given day, it didn't matter if it was Monday or Saturday, it was like there would be at least 5 or 6 people that would just randomly show up at the crib and be kicking it, freestyle sessions all the time, like just dumb fun stuff.
Hell yeah.
Right off of Greenville Avenue too.
I remember when y'all lived over there. I got to go by there a couple of times.
So fun. But anyways, that's kind of like Rabbit and I were kind of like a package deal around that time. It was like, if you're inviting me,
has anything changed?
Well, no, really, not much has changed. But back then it was more so because it was like, yo, go, what are you doing? Oh, me and Rabbit kicking it. All right, come swing through this. You know what I'm saying? And same thing, vice versa with him. It was just we'd show up together, you know? So him and I that was done deal. Now Trek and Colin and Astro, they were a part, you know, and also Leo J, but he didn't come on tour with us. They were Poor Vita. And so MC, Astro, Trek, and Croy were kind of a package. And then Kilo, I had never met.
Before y'all went on tour.
Right. And I was really, I think I've told him about this, but I was hella nervous because I was
were you about to go spend a month with somebody?
Yeah, and I was familiar with everybody else, and I was like, I don't know this cat, and I'm about to literally be on the road with him for a month straight. So I was nervous about it, but man, there ain't nothing not to love about Kilo.
100%.
So it was immediate, just like, this is my dog, you know?
When you meet somebody, especially like as passionate as you are about your music, when you meet somebody as passionate as he is about his craft, I mean, there's no way y'all aren't going to
100%
find something to click up on.
100%. Man, that was a really amazing experience, but it was also like a lot of other things in my life. There was extreme highs at the same time, extreme lows. Specifically, just within the month that we were gone, I had to fly back to Dallas twice because I had family members that passed away while we were gone. And so it was a beat down, but at the same time I was doing this thing that I'd wanted to do for a long time, and I was having a blast with homies, and for whatever reason there's a big ongoing part of me, even to this day as a full grown adult, there's a part of me that craves like struggling and is attracted to it. Yeah. And not like we were starving or anything, but we were doing stuff like all 6 of us were sleeping in a room of like, you know what I'm saying? Like there was just like, we were cutting as many corners as we possibly could.
I don't want to imagine any of that smell.
Yeah, I mean,
how the hell did y'all sleep?
You had to mask the funk. You know what I mean? That was a song that we were gonna write at some point. Matter of fact, Natamba like the Barnyardist joint in Natamba, like that phrasing came from that tour. Like
Really?
that, there was so many inside jokes that came from that tour. It's just stupid,
That's
man.
fresh. That's
Have
fresh.
you ever looked at the YouTube series that we published from this tour?
No, but like Kilo said during our interview, put it on the screen. Put it on the screen.
Oh,
I'm
man.
gonna put that on the screen. If you,
Man.
give me some keywords. I have to find that.
I'll send it to you.
That's fresh.
It's a full playlist of like, it's probably 20 little mini videos of the whole tour.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's sick. So you did this tour, and so this is 2010, 2011. I think I met you, the first time I saw you perform was either at Froggy's or Red Goose. DK had put a show together or something along those lines. And I was telling Kilo this, and I've told James the same thing. When I saw y'all perform, I had come from like just freestyling, freestyling in the backseat of cars in college, just freestyling with friends and stuff like that. And then, finally met somebody who would actually rap with me, because growing up in a small country town, you're not going to find that many people that'll do it with you. Right. And then I saw y'all, and it was like, oh, this is what impassioned, focused, virality of wanting to do this looked like. Like, there was no like, we're just up here to have fun. It's like y'all knew your tracks, y'all had it down. There was a clear and obvious focus with what y'all were doing, and I fell in love with it immediately. I think I started following y'all around. But so after around then, you come back from the tour. You have some albums that you've put a lot of thought and heart into, and in which you still do, and we'll get into those. When did the concept albums, like the really the breaking down the barriers for you as an artist, really either start or become a focus for you?
Pretty early on. It goes back to my OCD and my perfectionism. Like, that's just how my brain works. I can't help it. Everything, kind of like in my crib, everything has a specific place. And that magnet with the knives, every time Rabbit comes over here, when I'm not paying attention, he flips one of those knives around because he's an ass like that. And he knows, like, everything has a place. You know what I mean? And
but
that's how
you have to have that little bit of chaos.
Yeah, I mean, there's some kind of weird balance between him and I.
Yeah,
but,
hell yeah.
But everything needs a place in my brain, and so simultaneously, when I'm coming up with song concepts and whatnot, there's always this thing in the back of my head that's kind of like categorizing them. Where would this go?
Yeah.
What album would this, what's going to make sense? I want to make sense with my art. I don't want like random songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's okay. I don't have an issue with it, and occasionally I'll do it. But I feel like everything needs a place.
Yeah.
And,
that seems to be the structure whenever you structure your sets.
Yes.
I can tell that you have, where your breath is going to be lacking. When you need to get a bit more control. Where the ups and downs have the ebbs and flows need to go.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think the major concept album that, would pop up for me and most is The Senseless.
Yeah.
Take me through, that whole putting yourself, it goes from, whenever you're in hip hop, hip hop's the only, I feel like it's the only art that people go, well, you're too old to be doing that. It's like, oh, you're 40-year-old rapping. It's like, you would never be like, oh, you're 40-year-old playing guitar, or you're 40-year-old singing in a band. But you took this, you seem to have, as you matured, you took this as a challenge to say, I want to try something different, and I want to try something new to either prove to myself or just to prove to other people. What gave you this idea of Senseless EP and putting yourself through something is when people have done that for, method acting, but I don't. Maybe Del the Funky Homo Sapien pretending that he was in the year 3000, but like, where did that come from?
The senseless idea came from the obvious realization that I needed to press reset on my entire life. I was not in a good place in any facet of my life when I came up with this concept. And, on looking back on it, it's like, oh, that was a project. Like, that was a cool project, but that was my life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a way for me to get healthy. I was not healthy, man. Like, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I was a wreck. I was a mess. A lot of crazy stuff going on. And so I decided, who else is going to make the change if it ain't me? Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I started designing things to help strip myself away. One of the things that was bothering me was that I couldn't feel anything anymore. I was numb. There was nothing that was exciting to me. I didn't feel like I was about to say like nothing to live for. I wasn't, at that point, I was not suicidal or anything. I was just, I don't know what I'm living for. I don't know what.
Everything's become so repetitive. Yeah. That it's like, where's the flux that needs to be there to that spark?
Yeah. And so I needed something different. And so I started paying attention to how much is getting thrown at us, at every human being on the planet at any given moment. You're being bombarded by everything. And so I was like, how do I get away from that living here and without completely just abandoning everything in my entire life and going and living in a hole somewhere. And so I designed this cleanse for myself. It was a 40-day cleanse, and it had to do with diet and water intake and exercising and staying away from media, but it was really extreme. And I was doing it for my health, but people were really gravitating toward the idea of it and thought it was interesting. And I was just honestly trying to get myself healthy and build an inspirational bank to write from. And, some of the extreme things that people were becoming weird about though with it was I wouldn't hug anyone and I wouldn't touch anyone. So like there was no intimacy, no touching, no hugging, no handshakes, no kissing, no radio, no music, no movies, no TV, only water, no fried foods, all natural foods. I even had a limitation on myself regarding visually admiring women. So as soon as I would catch myself like looking at an attractive woman, I would force myself to like shut away. So I documented all of this, and there was even more that went along with it. But it was just a really crazy way to strip myself of everything, so maybe I could enjoy things when I got back around to it.
Yeah.
So
that's a hard reset.
Yeah, it was, and it was challenging, and there were some things I did really great at, and some things I just failed miserably. It was obvious after it was over what my biggest weaknesses were, and that kind of helped me pinpoint those and work on those, as personal goals. So that was like phase 1, and then I had a phase 2 where I would go 48 hours where I stripped my one of my senses away. So I went 48 hours blindfolded. I went 48 hours like with my nose plugged up, 48 hours with my ears like, ear what do you call them?
Like earplugs?
Earplugs in, but also my gun headphones on
complete
top.
deafening?
Just stuff like that. So I would go from like 6 o'clock on Friday to 6 on Sunday, where I would just try to take something away. Why? Some of it was just I wanted to.
That's a whole new sensation. That's like
it is. It is.
You might be stripping yourself of one thing, but it seems like you're gathering and analyzing a completely different set of your brain and yourself and your soul.
100%. And part of the inspiration for that was a little girl, and this whole, like, my entire story, I could tell my life story with songs that I've published.
That's beautiful.
I mean, no shit.
That's beautiful.
And even down to the songs and the projects that I'm working on right now is what's happening right now in my life, and what, big gigantic things that are shifting.
Hell yeah, I got to hear a couple of them.
Yeah, got a little taste of it. So
and we'll definitely come to one of my favorites that I feel needs to get its shine. But continue.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Like
with the little girl.
Yes, the little girl. I had a visually impaired kindergarten girl that I had in music class, and really scared to have her in my class. I'd never had a visually impaired girl or student in my class, and I ended up kind of just falling in love with her. She was amazing, and that was a big inspiration for Her Ears Eyes.
She said, I see you with my ears, and I hear you speaking to me. Can't rely on my eyes, and sometimes in my world it's lonely. I do sense shadows, I cannot trust them, and colors are foreign to me. Would you be so kind to move on and let me be?
That hook. What I'm gonna do is, when I ask you that question, I'm gonna cut to that, and hopefully I don't get copyright stricken. I might have to get you to approve it. I'm just gonna cut to that chorus.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
But I'm gonna leave the part in where I'm talking about. I'm gonna cut to it. But your ability to take yourself from that. Now, okay, so answer this for me.
Yeah.
After you've gone through that, what was it like coming out of that and then moving on to the next project?
Out of Senseless into the next one?
After you've gone through something so intense, so almost traumatic, but also like kind of eye-opening, lack of a better term, and going into the next album. And what was the next album?
All right, weird thing about the Senseless EP is it was supposed to be an LP. It was supposed to be 12 songs. So shout out to Double J. He was the producer that worked with me on the Senseless project. So not only do I write kind of in concept mode all of the time, but I also like to work with individual people on full projects. So Mileage, the album I put out, me and 360, that was my partner for that project. Dallas Scott Next, he was my partner. 4-Track Sessions, he was my partner, along with collaborating with Rabbit and L. Justin Jones was a collaborator of mine, a co-producer and dear friend of mine that we worked on the Senseless project. But what catapulted us into that was Mileage Retuned, which I sent acapellas out to different producers, and they kind of reimagined it. And he reimagined and remixed a song called Cleansed in Dirt, which I was blown away by. And after that, I approached him and asked him if he would be down to work on the Senseless idea with me. it all took so long because both him and I are both perfectionists. And so it got to the point where it was like, dude, we got to put some of this out. So we put out the EP. Her Ears Eyes was released as a single, but it was supposed to be on the full LP. Oniomania was supposed to be on there as well. And then there's several songs that have never been published, and we've played around with them here and there. I think eventually we'll probably get back around to them, but I think coming out of Senseless, and mind you, while I'm working on solo stuff, I'm always working on other things as well, including stuff with Rabbit and then random collaborations and whatnot. But when right around this time, I started wanting to get into performing in a different way. So I performed with a 5-piece band for a long time as Grades of Absolute Truth, right?
Okay.
And that was never anything that just broke up or anything. It just kind of naturally ran its course. And that's when I, not too long after that, I started trying to build up a cover song repertoire where I could start performing by myself in places that would actually pay me. Imagine that. I mean, I'm kind of joking, but not really. So if
I know you're dead serious.
if you have done any time, and when I say time, I'm talking like sometimes it feels like a prison, because if you have hit the scene and done original music, you do not make any money at the level that any of us are at.
No.
So.
Oh, you get to open up for this person.
Yeah, which is really
that's
exciting.
Your exposure.
That's great.
You want to get paid by exposure?
And you'll
brought
get
50
paid.
people, but you get paid by exposure.
You'll get paid in some way.
Yeah.
But it's never
like
worth
pay
the
to play.
time, energy.
Pay for exposure, but bring your own people.
So, anyways, that was kind of a big shift in my mentality. Merchandising has always been a gigantic part of what I do. And that was because early on, I realized that's the only way that I'm going to make any money doing original music. Because venues sure as hell do not pay decent money for original music. That's just the way it is. And then, that idea on top of where music has just continually been degraded to the point where we don't make money we can't even sell CDs as a physical like music as a physical product does not exist much anymore. So it's you just got to get creative.
There's bands that are only known for their merch.
Yes.
No, it's like.
So that's kind of when I started diving into that and doing 3 and 4 hour cover gigs where I'm hitting breweries, wineries, restaurants, and this, that, and the other. And it's a way for me to stay active, to make money, to still play originals and work them into my sets, and get my music in front of people. But there has to be a way to push you forward financially. Like if you're not being, if there's no money to reinvest in what you're doing, like, sorry, dude.
Yeah, kind of kills the vibe.
There's nothing to put into, you know what I'm saying? And
so in learning these covers, but you did find a clever way to mix the covers into playing originals with this concept that I think is absolutely incredible and allowed you to travel. I feed you, you feed me. How did that concept come around? When was the first one? And you're still doing it, if I'm not mistaken, or you're trying to. So what gave you that idea? Because that was an opportunity for people who enjoy your music to have you come and be more intimate with them and to get you closer to people, to them.
Okay, there's a couple of things. Number one, I was invited to a house concert. I don't even know what year this was. It was a long time ago. But there is a woman, an artist named Patrice Pike. Really amazing artist. And there was a woman that I used to teach with. And she was kind of like a hippie chick, on that tip. And she invited, like, we got cool, we got real close. And she invited me and my girlfriend at the time to come to this house concert. It was for a Valentine's Day, actually. And it sounded interesting. It was not at a house. It was actually at an old motel that was no longer a motel. And there was this, what do you call those things in The Shining? The maze kind of things. What do you call those?
Hedge maids.
No. Dang it, I can't remember what it's called.
Built of bushes?
Yes.
Yeah, the hedge maid.
There's something else there. Anyways, so it had one of those.
I'm fairly sure that's what it's called.
We'll Google it. You can pop it up on the screen. Pop it up on the screen right there.
Put it on the screen.
Throw that up on the screen right there and mute us out. You could have the definition, you know what I'm saying? Like running across,
Yeah.
No, but it was really intriguing. Anyway, the artist came out, blah, blah, blah. Beautiful experience. It was a $20 a head cover, and it was a... Man, I'm losing words, bro. I'm so sorry. What do you call it when people have to bring a dish to something?
Potluck.
Potluck, yes. Thank you.
Don't worry. You got a little encyclopedia here.
Word.
Or dictionary?
Yes, you are.
Dictionary?
One of those. Thesaurus?
One of those.
Webster. Bro, I'm struggling over here, man. I'm sorry. But it was a badass experience.
Hell yeah.
I was doing I can remember this experience because we're in the lobby of a old motel that's not in business anymore. And there is Patrice Pike, and she brought a guitar player with her. No sound system, just chairs in a room. And I'm looking around, and in my head, I'm enjoying this experience, but I'm like, it's $20, $20, $40, $60. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking around, and I'm like, okay. So they get that bread straight up, no middleman. It's just like, you are paying $20 a head, and we're giving all of that. Plus, everybody in here brought a homemade dish that they get to eat, and they're at this location that they get to crash at. No lodging, like no money for lodging.
Hell yeah.
And just like my gears are turning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, this is dope. This is dope. So anyways, kind of just kept in my head, and it was marinating and this, that, and the other. And I tried a few different things that didn't really work out. I tried this thing called Live in Your Living Room that I was trying to brand, and it didn't take off, and nobody was interested. Or I mean, I probably did like 5 of them, but it didn't feel like it was generating any kind of momentum. And then I got this crazy idea and was terrified to launch it, because when I don't know if you feel this or not, but when you feel like you have a cool idea, but you've never seen it done before, you kind of have this fear of, what if I think it's real cool, and then I launch it and there's just crickets and nobody nobody cares about it. You know what I'm saying? So I finally worked up the courage, and I was like, whatever, let's do this. So I threw it out there, and I published it on Facebook. I posted one post, and it explained the idea, and the idea is simple. You invite me to your home, and I perform with no sound system, and you feed me, and I play to whoever you invite over. And then I get to crash at your place if I'm far from Dallas. And that was pretty much it. And I was like, comment if you're interested. And I took notes of everybody that, I mean, it was insane how many people responded, how many, messages I got. And the first one that I did, I think I went to 4 or 5 different states and did.
Wow.
Matter of fact, I think the posters are right over there in that stack.
Oh, they are.
There's
I'm gonna grab one real quick.
yeah, dude. Completely insane. There's one of them right there.
Yeah.
So
Look at that, dude. This number of dates.
yeah, I mean it.
That is bonkers.
It was dumb successful.
That is absolutely
And
insane.
it fit my branding. It fit my my need to connect with people in a setting like that. And it's unlike any other thing that I've done performance wise, because you can't beat it. And I shit you not, coming back to how do we sustain ourselves as artists, I speak the truth when I say I will sell an item of merch to every person that comes to this house concert. So I will end up selling 4 times as much merch at a 20-person house concert than I would at a sold-out show for us opening up for a national artist at Trees.
That is insane.
And
that is insane.
That is like not once or twice that. I mean, I'm talking consistently sold a ton of merch and built very strong connections with people that care about my music.
Yeah.
I'm not an artist that you're just going to throw on and have a party to. That ain't my vibe. I want to express meaning.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's the whole thing about the concept. The songs that you write have, and obviously as you've gotten older, they've gotten deeper.
For sure.
And especially with various things that you've been through. And I do want to detour this. We talked about the senseless and the I feed you, you feed me, and the amount of people that have that you've garnered respect from. And I got to share a moment with you some years back when you opened up to me about something in the Orange Project, and it's one of the highlights, honestly, of being able to do the film and stuff like that. And you asked me to help you share a very personal message with the world and about how you had MS. And just to jump into it, I don't want to get too bogged down or anything like that, and you don't have to open up about anything you don't want to, but when you first got that diagnosed, which you also called the project, what were some of the things that went through your head as far as, and it's almost the thing about with the senseless, you put yourself through all of these things, and now suddenly you do have some sort of senselessness that is coming your way.
Yeah, life is weird sometimes, man. Especially looking back at just how things lead, one thing leads to the next, because there's 2 things that are just racing through my head right now, bro. And it's one, am I unable to find my thoughts right now because I have MS? You know what I'm saying? And I've gotten lost with words a couple of times, including her ears, eyes, which that never happens on stage, and there's just stuff that surfaces that you're just like, wow, I don't know if that's normal. And one of the other things that really races through my head when it comes to MS is I'm totally lost right now in my train of thought. Right, I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like brain fog is something. There's a physical thing. There's physical things that happen, of course, but like I feel like with most everything with me, most is mental. And intertwining everything in my life through music, going back in my past and in my history, MS really surfaced visibly in my life during one of those I Feed You, Feed Me dinner tours. And that's what I'm saying. Like my entire life is drawn through things that I've done musically. And it's simply because the music that I put out, it's my life. Like this is my life's work. And this is my story.
And you've developed such a catalog, man.
I can't even help it. It's just every time that I try to calm down and chill, I hate it. I can't stand it. And I'm a strong believer that when you stop moving, you get old and your body starts deteriorating. And since my diagnosis, I'm very sensitive to time because I don't know how much, none of us know how much we have. But, things.
But when it becomes more apparent.
Yeah, and things shift. Things can shift so quickly that I don't want to waste my time. Like, not to say I'm dying anytime soon. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. I don't know. None of us know how much time that we have to be healthy and to be enjoying things that we're passionate about. And so when it's time to work, I want to work. I want to put stuff out. I want to be active. I want to not sit on my ass and watch television all the time. Like, it's not what I want to do. I don't want to be about that. Like, I want to be active. I want to put out meaningful things that make people think. I want to, sometimes I want to make people cry, and I want to transport them into, something that's had a big impact on me or something that I've seen had a big impact on somebody else. Like, that's what I want to be about, is some kind of progression and some kind of movement. My right arm is filled up with words, and the biggest word on my arm is movement. It comes across right here. And I feel like that one word really encapsulates a lot of what I'm about. I want to keep moving mentally, physically. I want to move people emotionally. I want to move audiences and crowds into my mindset when they're around me. And I want to go deep, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to kick it on the surface. Let's break.
And it hasn't slowed you down. It really doesn't seem like it slowed you down. I don't know what your day-to-day is like, but I can tell your constant professionalism and your constant work ethic is, if anybody who knows GOAT knows that it's you see it. I see it every day. And you talked about the time, and this is the song that you and I got together at a very difficult part of both of our lives. We were both going through some very dark shit. And I don't know, I can't remember how. I think you reached out to me. I know that I came to a couple of y'all shows. Mm-hmm. And I remember coming over here one time, and I think it was still while I was on tour. and we were supposed to work on a track, and I was all fucked up in the head, and we worked on a track a little bit, never ended up finishing it. Still kicked it. Came to a couple more of y'all shows, and then we just started hanging out and just started vibing. And so I feel very fortunate to have been able to hear some of the stuff that you've before you published it, some of the stuff that you were working on. And there's a certain song that when you showed it to me, it's maybe it was because I was getting older, maybe it was because I was in that dark place and trying to come out of it. About we're halfway done, and that halfway done song, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that seemed to me a track that you were writing about that experience that you were having with your MS. But the optimistic side of that song, even though there is that melancholiness of that we are almost halfway done, but there's an optimistic ending to it. It's like, yeah, but it's still half. We still have a whole nother half. If it's been this good for this half, how amazing is the next half gonna be? And I think I've told you this, but that song, whether we're halfway there, and I just, for your ability to take that kind of concept, something that many people have felt numerous times in their life, vocalize it that way, and then turn it into something that's tangible and that's about you, is something that I admire very, very deeply. What was it like writing that song? Where was your headspace at when you started first kind of coming up with that concept?
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that acknowledgement, man. I really do. There's so many overlapping things that happen, and one of those things is my buddy Justin Jones. We had just got finished with a session, and him and I are friends to the point where, it'll be time for me to leave, and he'll be like, oh yeah, I'll, help you grab your gear, whatever, walk you out, and I'll throw my gear in the car, and we end up staying in the freaking driveway for like an hour talking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like him and I are homies like on that tip. And him and I have God, dude, I'm so emotional right now, bro. I'm trying to keep it together.
I'm pretty good at this.
No, it's just as an artist, it's really hard sometimes to revisit places, because music is such a therapeutic thing, and you get it out, but then you have to keep re-experiencing it when you perform it and when people ask you questions about it, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember, but
you're continuously taken back.
Totally.
Every time I sing Family Values, I'm taken back to when I was fucking 9 years old.
Yeah.
Like I can smell my mom's hairspray. It's wild.
Dude, it is. And it's powerful.
Yeah.
Music is powerful. But Justin and I were in his driveway, and we were talking, and him and I were I'm still going through things and with my dad, and he was going through some really tough stuff with his dad, and we were getting emotional about it and explaining all the crazy stuff that's going on, and I just said, well, man, we're about halfway done, dude. And it was just casual conversation, and then later on I was reflecting and felt like there was a song there, and it just kind of fell out, just kind of fell out of me. And there's a buddy of mine that I've been working with a lot lately, Billy Walker, and him and I started working on that tune, and we released halfway done. I mean, I couldn't, there's not one thing that I would change about that track.
You showed it to me at its bare bones, and I remember I'm very much a lyric person. Like that's what I glob onto. That's why A$AP Rock's my favorite rapper.
Yeah.
And when I'm sitting there listening to that, I still remember just sitting at the island that used to be here. now it's just a big blank square.
It's nothing.
And I'm just going like, and I'm listening. And it's almost a scary concept because people don't like to think about like, oh, that is where we're at.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that is
you
where
gonna die.
Yeah. Yes,
Sooner than later.
Yeah. I was trying to be soft about it, but yeah, you gonna die. But that you don't like to visit that part of your humanity, and it was such an opened. It kind of reminded me of like this open wound that we all have, but the ending like stitched it up, and because the way that you put it, and it's that it came from just a casual conversation that you were having with a close friend shows like just how naturally that comes to you. But I do want to get into a little bit of brevity if we can, because Goat doesn't just make emotional stuff. I know I've been on this emotional, but he has some funny ones too. He hit me up some years back, and he was doing a competition for some radio show or something along those lines, and he hit me up to see if we could do a music video, and immediately in my head I'm like, I can't do a music video with you, Goat, because I know what's going to happen. I know I know if I don't have it to a T, then I'm going to have to, well, it's going to start with a text communication, like, can you change these things? It's going to be like, hey, can you just come over here and we'll just fucking edit it sitting at the table together. But I had some event going on, and so you shot on the phone. Tell me about this track. Tell me about the cake, the gummy, the candy, this yumminess. There it is. I always call it the cake, but tell me about the yumminess.
Dog.
This just shows you his concept spirit, where he's like, oh, there's a competition to write something about this.
This was a curse to me. This was a curse. I ain't gonna lie. Oh my gosh, man, my brain is going absolutely nuts because there are so many like woven tree limbs of all of these conversations. Like I could literally trace the reason that I wrote that song back through I Feed You, Feed Me dinner tour, back through a connection that I had with someone that I worked with at the school. And then, I mean, I'm talking about just everything is just
holy shit,
completely meshed together. So there is a woman that I used to work with at my school, and her husband and her family have been incredibly supportive of all of my dinner tours, and they've had me to their home every single time. And her husband is a big supporter of KXT, and he heard about this competition and he told me about it. And and he was like,
I feed you, you feed me.
Yeah, dog.
Here's a food contest.
Dog, I know. It's so stupid. Is it like I said earlier, like life is so weird, bro. Like life is so crazy.
Awesome. That's great.
But it also is one of those things that so often you're like, I don't know if I'm doing anything right. Where am I supposed to go from here? But then once you start paying attention to everything, like one thing has led to something else that led to this, and it's like everything it's happening how it's supposed to. Every once in a while it gets revealed like you're right where you're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? It's no joke. It is no joke. Yeah. Make sure you get the So, anyways, I derail yumminess. So he told me about it. It was a competition. You had to submit a video. The only stipulation was the video had to have a cake in it. And the winner performed, and I can't remember who you opened up for, but it was at their birthday party, like KXT's big birthday party. Huge event. I was like, that sounds cool, but I mean the due date was in like a week and a half
quick.
or something.
When you hit me up, it was super quick.
Yeah, it was like a week and a half. So I was like, I'm good. And so it was cool. If I had like a month, I'd be like probably on it. Like 2 days later, bro, I woke up and I had this melody and phrase in my head, and it was something about I can have my cake and eat it too, like something of that catchphrase or whatever. And it wouldn't go away, dude. I'm serious. That's what I'm saying. There are like cool things and there's not cool things sometimes when it comes to being a writer.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we are cursed sometimes. Like we have to get certain things out of ourselves.
Yeah.
And this was one of those times I was like, if I have the idea, and there's an opportunity for me to present this idea and potentially get some attention for it and get some new listeners, then how can I not follow this idea?
Yeah.
And so I sat down and I started messing with it, and the lyrics kind of came pretty quick, but the song, like, that was just the beginning. So I had to record it. I had to get it edited, mixed, mastered. I had to shoot a video and edit a video in like a week. And when I got to the video portion, I was frantically and desperately reaching out to people like, can you play? I need help. I need help with this. I can't. Everybody turned me down. I had one person say they would help me, and I was like, yeah, I got some help. And then they turned me down like the next day, and I was just like, okay, I got to do this all by myself.
When you hit me up and you were like, hey, I need to make this music video and stuff, I was like, oh, all right, yeah, dope. Like, when are you thinking? You're like, it's got to be done in a week. It was like,
oh, I can't do it. Which was everybody's response.
I'm a procrastinator as is. Like, yeah, that would have been a...
Bro. Anyways, I pulled it off. And I shot the video with the help of my mom and Brandy.
Yep.
And it turned out pretty funny.
It's a funny video. It's a dope little video.
It's intentionally goofy.
Yeah.
And the song is really playful, but essentially it's about sweets in a, you know what I'm saying, like a kind of way.
There's a sexual undertone.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So speaking of intentionally goofy, and this is, I'm glad you said that because I'm going to take this segue. The Barnyardists. Yeah. I love y'all's music. I love both of y'all to death, man. And just this concept of Jackrabbit James and Goat making a fucking super group with each other and coming out with peanut butter jelly time. So let's get into the intentionally unintentional goofiness that is Barnyardists.
Let's do this.
What the hell? Why the hell? When the hell? Give me the whole rundown, man.
It started at that crib, like Rabbit moved in, and for a long time when we got booked together, it was just Goat and Jackrabbit James. And then we called the house that we lived in over off of Greenville Avenue, we called it the Barnyard. That's what we called it.
That's fire.
Because it was full of animals all the time, not just us, but people would come. I mean, buck wild parties all the time, just stupid stuff. This is how crazy our house was. We had a lost and found at our house. I'm not joking, dog.
I know you're not.
We had a lost and found by the front door. Like, I don't have no idea whose this is, so we're going to put this in the...
I'm just glad that y'all were nice enough to have one, you know? Well, I know if I go over there and I lose something, at least there's a place that I can look.
Yes, totally. Have you checked the lost and found, though? But, no, we...
So what was the first... Because y'all been performing together for a long time. The house is called The Barnyard.
Yeah.
What was the first album? But y'all didn't come out with the first album until way later on.
Right,
So
right.
Tell me about the first album, the development of that, and that was only what five or six tracks.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
No. The first one was 8.
8.
The first one was 8, and then which we called 1, and yeah, it was 8 tracks, all done by Hologram Dagger. Long time homie of mine. Matter of fact, talk about roots. I helped him produce one of his first projects, The Journey into Electric City. Ooh, I'm blanking out on that. That was 2002.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at my Denton apartment while I was up at UNT.
Holy cow. So he produced that whole thing.
Bioglyphic, yeah. So he's gone. Steve Wick has gone by so many different names over the years.
Oh,
it's
really?
like, yeah. But yeah, the first Barnyardist EP, Hologram Dagger produced it, and
Now, what tracks are on that one? Because there's 2 or 3.
there's 2.
There's 2.
Yeah, so we got EP1 and EP2.
Okay.
And
EP2 has gold and stuff like
right.
that. EP1 has
Peanut
the
butter.
peanut butter.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Natamba, Quick to Judge,
And
Click Clack Boom.
Y'all started doing more shows. You're still doing your solo stuff, but it seems like with the rap stuff, if it's rap, you try to make it be the Barnyardist.
Yeah. These days, that's kind of where everything is at. I haven't done a solo hip hop show in a pretty long time.
Well, you have so much other in your discography that just doing a solo hip hop show doesn't really even make sense for you anymore.
Nah, it doesn't.
And the bounce, y'all's chemistry on stage is. It almost reminds me of. Have you ever seen Blink-182?
Like a concert? Yes.
Their chemistry on stage is out of this freaking world, man.
It is.
Y'all's chemistry on stage for me has that same kind of underline because y'all are able to joke around with each other. Y'all can just be flippant but y'all know each other's y'all know how each other are going to react to certain things. So the comfortability is next to none, really. Especially whenever it comes to hip hop groups, because I'm sure you've seen plenty of hip hop groups where it's 2, 3, 4, 5 people on stage, but they clearly don't have that chemistry or camaraderie that y'all do. It's more like just individuals doing their own thing instead of a clear group that's performing to put on a show for people.
Man, thank you. I don't know how to say this. I agree. I think we're dope.
Yeah, ditto.
And I arrogance and ego is something that really turns me off. But the time, the energy, and the brotherhood that we have built, that Rabbit and I have built as a duo, will not be matched by anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
We are the dopest duo. Period.
I agree.
And a lot of times I think in a local realm because that's where a lot of my relationships are is as far as other artists, venues, my biggest supporters, most of my biggest supporters are in Texas. But every time that I go to watch others perform, there's something that's not connecting as far as when there's a duo trying to spit together. And I think what it comes down to is Rabbit's my brother, man. Like, we've been through a lot of stuff together, and we've grown as human beings and as men, and we're still doing this because we love to do it. And man, that's just as simple as it is. And we're keeping the same kind of pillars in what we do, which is family, playfulness, being really about what we're talking about, and just and straight up love. Like, we show love, and we can be playful and humble on stage, but we'll also spit some shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So like that's the vibe that we put off, and that's just naturally what we is. You know what I mean?
110%. Man, I think we've just about hit an hour plus on this thing. This is gonna be a motherfucker to edit. I'm sorry for my voice. Just got back from a trip, and Texas is beating me to death with all its ragweed and whatnot. But I brought up the Barnyardist at the very end to primarily say I am so fucking excited to perform with y'all, man. I've been watching y'all for a long time, and I think we've done some sets way back in the day before y'all were a crew. I might have had a show, where I was up there. This whole experience of setting this deal up, I knew that I wanted to have the people that I value as artists, local artists, and there's nobody else that I'd rather be sharing this stage with, and there's nobody else who I'd rather have, which admittedly I feel like I should be opening up for y'all, but the fact that y'all are willing to let me jump on after you, man,
dude.
It means a whole lot to me, man, because y'all took me in again when I was in a dark spot, man, and y'all's friendship really helped change the trajectory of my life. I fully believe, and your kind of commitment to put up with me whenever we're doing like different lives and stuff like that, and willing to test me and say, hey, I want to do this thing, so get over here and let's figure it the hell out. But I am super fucking stoked for February 17th, man. I don't at this point I don't care how many people go. I don't care what the venue's like. If I get to perform with the homies that I've made, I'm a happy boy, and I can't think of any better way to kind of chunk the deuce on doing. I still want to do shows, but I never want to set one up again.
Yeah.
And hopefully this opens up doors to be able to perform with y'all a little bit more. But it's an honor to have y'all on, man, from the bottom of my heart.
No, thank you. And just to make things clear, we're specifically talking about Saturday, February 17th in Fort Worth, Texas, the Cicada. It's going down. We will be there, and it's going to be a family affair. So if you show up, you're going to get dapped up, you're going to get some hugs, and you're going to get a healthy dose of straight DFW hip-hop lyricism at its finest.
Yes, sir.
So best believe you're going to be having a damn good time, and you better keep up with what everybody does that's on this bill.
And there is a track coming soon with the Amoeba and the Barnyardists.
Truths.
I have officially joined the Barnyardists. I am the Amoeba.
'Tis the truths.
And I've already finished my verse. He's already finished his. So James, you get on yours.
Jerk Racket Haynes. Jerk Racket Haynes, get on it,
Whenever
bruh.
we were at the show, Jack Rabbit was like, "Yeah, I feel like I've already finished mine. Have y'all finished yours?" I'm like, "No, we literally recorded it, sent it over. We recorded it on our phones." I wrote that, and just to close out with this, the last time I performed was out in Arkansas. Y'all were kind enough to have me out there, man, and that is such a phenomenal place, and getting to do that on stage is what made me want to do a set, and it's what made me write a verse for a Barnyardist track. So that track will be coming soon, and again, Saturday, February 17th. Be there.
Yeah.
My homie Goat, thank you so much, brother.
Yes.
I
Hey,
appreciate it more
Thank
than
you,
anything.
brother. I
Yeah.
love you, man.
Love you too,
and,
doggy.
yeah, it's going to be a family affair, like I said. Keep up with us, though, at Music by Goat. I'll see y'all soon.
Facts of the matter.